Hey there, welcome back. I appreciate you joining me. So, today I wanted to talk a little bit about tracking and why it is so incredibly important. So, you may or may not know, but Heather and I created a planner first and foremost before almost anything else in Compass Club. We wanted to give our clients a monthly planner just to give them a place to write down their thoughts, their feelings, their schedule, and try to help get as organized as possible. Because let's face it, when you tackle any goal, it's something that you're trying to maneuver into the ebb and flow of your daily life, all of the craziness, all of the things that you can and can't control. You're essentially trying to carve out ways to fit in consistent changes or methods or actions that are going to help you reach that goal. So how better than to do that than to sit down, take a few minutes, plan out what you can, and then try to stick to it as best as you possibly can. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But if you at least make the effort to sit down and write down what you aim to do, how you aim to do it, it gives you that mental clarity. It also helps, because you might have heard me say a couple times now, to create that set it and forget it attitude. Because life is messy, because there's so many things that just constantly barrage you from start to finish of your day, it's important that when you want to achieve a goal, the steps that you set up in order to achieve that goal are baked right into your schedule. They fit in seamlessly, easily, and you don't have to overthink in that moment. When you are busy at work or you are racing around trying to get your family somewhere, the last thing you want to have to do is think to yourself, oh geez, I am hungry and I'm going to be out of the house for a few hours. What am I going to eat? How am I going to, prepare so that I can make sure my calories stay on track? When you think all of this through ahead of time as best as you possibly can, again, not, barring any unforeseen obstacles that might get you off track, but at least if you aim to preset a plan and you get those things pre-thought, you then don't have to think about it in the moment. It's something that just is ready to go, ready for you to fall back and rely on. And you're basically giving yourself that helping hand long before you actually are in that challenging situation. You're setting yourself up for success. So there's a lot of different ways to track. Some people like to, go through your day and kind of write it down as you go. Personally, I like to sort of plan it out beforehand, and especially things like foods. In particular for me, when I'm off track, like completely off track, it's always important for me to start super strict and super structured to get that jump start, to get my mindset and my mentality back on track. Now, once you get to where you feel it, you just know you are just locked into making good decisions. You've got your eating habits to where your stomach is, that shrunk down feeling of like, okay, I can just eat a tiny bit. I'm full, I'm comfortable, I'm satisfied. I know I'm doing well. We all know our bodies. When we are fully confident and comfortable, sometimes we can let the reins loose a little bit when we're already kind of locked into that plan, that process, and we know what we're doing and it's easy and we're no longer getting pulled off track by, this or that. That's when maybe this can, loosen up a little bit. But when you really want to get your scale moving quickly, maybe you are kind of moving along in a certain pattern and you want to identify how you can get the scale moving faster. Or again, if maybe your mindset is a little off track, it's very important to sit down and plan out, at the very least, just the next day. Sit down and say to yourself, okay, what do I have in the pantry? What do I have in the fridge? What am I going to eat? Pre-calculate all your calories, because, it's difficult in the moment to sit there and say, okay, what have I had so far today? How much does that add up to? Oof, I think I'm already over and I still haven't even gotten halfway through the day, whatever that might be. It's just easier to set yourself up for success. Another thing, tracking is important even once you are kind of comfortably locked into that routine. Reasons like when you hit a plateau. Tracking's the first thing I always recommend to clients. Okay, so you're rocking, you're rolling, you're in a groove, you're seeing the scale move. Maybe you've stopped tracking. You're like, I got this, I know what I'm doing. And then the scale slows and stops. What happened? Of course, your body is not thinking weight loss is a good thing. Your body thinks that it needs to conserve those calories and, hold on to that energy, and it's trying to stay where it is. So therefore, it's going to adapt itself to what you're doing. The very first way to identify where you can shake things up to get yourself through a plateau is to write everything down. I've also had situations, you might have heard me tell this story before, where seeing the scale move was such a challenge. And again, I've had clients who are just like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to write it down. I've got it. It's under control, but I just can't seem to get the scale moving this last couple pounds. What's going on? What do I do? I'm adding more exercise, all this other stuff. I know one client in particular, I was like, just humor me, write down everything, track it, just jot it down just to be certain. It took 3 weeks of me begging for her to write everything down. And finally she comes in one day, she had dropped 2.5 pounds, hit her goal weight. And I said, what happened? And she sheepishly looked down and said, well, I sat down, did what you said. I got fed up and finally said, forget it. I'm just going to do, what I've been arguing. And the very first minute she sat down and wrote down her breakfast that she had been having habitually every day that she had slowly added a little bit more to, she realized it was 800 calories. She, right at that moment, was like, oh, there it is. There's my problem. She cut out a few of the things that she had started adding to her breakfast, dropped down right to where her goal weight was. So tracking is important for all these different areas, to get your mindset on track, to get your habits in place, to know what's happening in your day, even if it's not in particular specifically just for that scale purpose. Writing down everything that's going on, knowing what to expect, it can just help you feel calm and centered and focused and organized. It also gives you that calm presence, that calm moment of being present and just having a quiet minute to think through what's happening, where you are, maybe even plan some fun things into your day. It's fun sometimes to sort of see what happens and go with the flow, but other times, if you had known, if you look back and, hindsight's 2020, you pre-planned maybe like a walk or, a time to call somebody. It would have helped to remind you that that's what I want to do when that hour comes. And time is not wasted. If you know me, I'm very much, don't waste a second kind of person. I get frustrated if I figure out there's additional things I could have baked into a specific hour of the day. So for me, sitting down and knowing what to expect, planning it out, and just being able to maneuver additional things into my day is exciting, and I just feel so accomplished. So for all of those reasons, I want to remind you, if it's not our beautiful monthly planner that you're using, definitely get yourself a planner. And remember too, even if you have an app, we all have notification fatigue at this point. And, having your brain sucked into a screen any longer than it has to be is not always ideal. So I would really, really recommend sitting down with pen and paper, a planner if possible. And remember too that your brain actually processes information differently when you physically hand write it on paper. It also processes information differently when you physically read something off of a piece of paper versus off a screen. So when you actually sit down and hand write your schedule, you handwrite your foods or your grocery list or whatever, the likelihood of you remembering is far increased. It's something where your brain actually recognizes it different, remembers it differently. It's kind of the thing about whether you read something or you speak something and teach it to someone else. You're basically reiterating it to yourself when you're slowly writing it. And then you're reading it, and especially too, reading it off of paper. Think about times when you've typed something up on a screen and then you've printed it and you've gotten the physical piece of paper and you've read that, and suddenly there's like these glaring typos or really obvious things that you're like, oh geez, like I didn't even see that when it was on the screen. It's because your brain processes reading something off of paper differently. So do yourself a favor and have some fun. Go get some nice colorful pens or crayons, markers, draw some little things all in the margins. Make it fun, make it entertaining. It only needs to take a few minutes, but tracking is so important. Planning is so important. Writing things down is so important, and it can be a wonderful way to organize your day and to make sure that you have far more progress in areas of the scale and also all the other areas that you are trying to keep your life nice, happy, and organized. Thanks so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.